So much. I'm very excited to introduce our next speaker. Zohar is the VP of Cyber Investments at Elron, a leading Israeli holding company that invests in early-stage medical technology, cybersecurity, and software startups. Mr. Rosenberg also serves as a board member of several companies and a member of RDC. Please give a warm welcome to Zohar.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Zohar. I've been involved in the Israeli cyber for over 20 years. And over the past few years, I've been mainly focused on startups in the Israeli cyber ecosystem, startups early stages, also other components of the startup ecosystem, such as accelerator programs, hubs, innovation centers, etc. And I've been investing in early stage cybersecurity startups for Elron and RDC. And today I want to share some thoughts about where are we heading with our own cyber ecosystem. Other way. Or not. No. I'll do it from here. OK. We'll do it from here. So I think we've built an amazing ecosystem in cybersecurity in Israel so far. We have a lot of numbers to show for that, anywhere from the number of companies doing cybersecurity in Israel to the amounts of investments that we're receiving mostly from outside of Israel, the exits that are just getting better in 2019 and the beginning of 2020 are an amazing example for that. But also international hubs that we get the traction for them to come here to do cybersecurity here in Israel. The number of hubs and accelerator programs and other things around cybersecurity. Of course, the share that we have of the global export of cybersecurity, which is completely not in accordance with the size of Israel. So we're about 10%, even more of the global cyber export. So that's really remarkable. And we pretty much did this over the last 10 years. The things that made this possible are, of course, firstly, the unique talent. Most of it is coming out of military service with experience that other nations can only dream of. We are, as Israelis, very technology-oriented, and many times it's attached with the type of out-of-the-box way of thinking. The government in Israel that recognizes the opportunity, and I can really say, witnessed it firsthand. Already back at 2012, 2013, the government of Israel seized this opportunity and rushed to capture as much as it can. And also our own unique culture, very network, warm, everybody knows everyone. It helps us all move together forward. One important thing about ecosystems is that it's about mass. Check Point was here 25 years ago, but we didn't have a cyber ecosystem then. It took us years and to reach tens, maybe a couple of hundred companies doing cybersecurity to start talking about an ecosystem. It required a lot of investors, tens of investors investing in cybersecurity in Israel to be able to have an ecosystem. The same for, again, accelerators, hubs, innovation centers, et cetera, et cetera. So it's about masses. We've done so good, so well, that Israel has become a role model for other nations. And in recent years, we're seeing other cities and countries wanting to develop their own cyber ecosystem, rightfully so, if you ask me. They should do so. And we're seeing London, New York, Berlin, and others starting to develop cyber ecosystems. On one hand, those ecosystems are sort of a new competition to our own because it might compete over investors' attention, resources, markets' attention, etc. On the other hand, there are new places for collaboration that we should explore. How does the Israeli cyber ecosystem collaborate with the one in London or in Berlin or in New York? In New York, actually, there are beginning of good examples with SOSA, JVP, going to New York, opening cyber hubs there. So it's a beginning. There's a lot to do there. But we should be aware that the world is changing. our ecosystem, as amazing as it is, no longer stands alone, maybe with the Silicon Valley. There are more and more ecosystems developing around us. An ecosystem as this one, if we want to keep maintaining it, we need to keep fueling it. We need to keep putting in the necessary ingredients like talent, resources, money, government assistance, and more, because it will not just continue on its own. Nothing does. I think that on the bright side, some of those ingredients are definitely here, and they are definitely continuing to embrace this ecosystem. I think there's still a lot of appetite from investors to invest in cybersecurity. There may be a little less appetite for more adventurous type of ventures, but the overall investment in cybersecurity, and again, the numbers show that, is only increasing year by year. The government keeps assisting and increasing its help, if it's the delegations, if it's the national chief scientist, if it's other things like the recent fintech cyber lab tender that the government issued. So there are a lot of channels that the government still aids. We do need to think whether we have enough potential of talent to put this forward. But still, we have amazingly experienced talent coming out of the military, but also from companies like Check Point, who are also doing their own training, sort of cyber school for people that are not experienced in cybersecurity. The market itself, of course, keeps growing. There's no reason why not to, because the need is still here, the technology still changes around us, and it brings new gaps and new needs. If it's automotive, if it's Industry 4.0, insurtech, fintech, every new type of technology carries its own risks in cybersecurity. Therefore, there is a need to address those risks. So the market is just going to keep growing, and the awareness in the world also grows. The market also grows because of the growing awareness. And at the end of the day, let's face it, it's not like the cyber problems are over, not that any organization really feels safe and secure. So I think the market will keep pushing us forward. But there are things that maybe we should take more care of. For example, we are witnessing a decrease in the number of new companies per year. If in 2015-16 we had about 60 new companies, startups in cybersecurity every year, in the last couple of years it dropped down to 40, based on IVC and Startup Nation Central data. But you can also see this, I think, here at the conference. One of the reasons might be that many new multinational opened R&D centers here, and maybe they're competing over the talent that beforehand would have gone and opened a startup. So that's maybe one reason, and maybe others, but we are witnessing a decrease in the number of companies. So yeah, there is a saturation of solutions in the market. Everybody speaks about it. And yes, there is consolidation. And yeah, customers don't always know what to do with all the solutions. But for us to maintain our ecosystem, to keep growing it, again, it's a number of masses. We need the companies that will be the main new players in 5 years, in 6 years. So they need to start today. And if we keep decreasing the number of new companies, we might find ourselves in a small vacuum some years ahead. Another aspect is the sort of level of innovation, and that's very soft. But I think that we're seeing less adventurous, innovative type of companies, more companies that are trying to hit the market here and now, race to sales year after they're established. And sometimes that becomes on the other side of real disruptive innovation. Because if you want to really disrupt something, the market isn't here yet, the market doesn't understand the technology, it takes more time. And I'm not sure that we are continuing to be as innovative as we were, again, 5, 6 years ago maybe. And that's addressing entrepreneurs and VCs alike, because VCs should also allow for startups to try those more adventurous paths. I think there's still significant innovation here in Israel, and again, the global traction that we're getting is a proof of that. And there are still very interesting new companies here in Israel. If we're looking at companies like Nanolock or Chameleon that dare to do hardware cybersecurity, that's definitely not an easy path. Kindite, which are trying to really disrupt what cloud data security looks like, or Sayata, which are sort of disrupting a still early market of cyber insurance, and you can see and hear Sayata just after me here on stage. So I think there's still good examples, but I see more and more that are not that innovative, and I think we need to go back to the path of innovation in a much stronger way. The government also, as I mentioned before, does a lot of work all the time. New tender for the Cyber FinTech Lab, which understands the need to help startups reach the market, try out new technologies. So I think there's still a warm embrace from the government, and we need to make sure that there's enough startup, enough ideas, new ideas coming into that mechanism. So to conclude, my message is that we built really an amazing cyber ecosystem. It became an example, a global example. We have, and again, this conference is another example of delegations coming from all over the world to witness this wonder. And it did a lot of good for Israel. It improves our economy. It improves the export that we do. It also brings multinational companies into Israel. It, of course, does a lot of good to our reputation in the world. Israel is known as a cyber nation. And we want to keep having all that good. We want to keep enjoying these fruits, but we need to keep fueling the system to be able to keep enjoying them if we're looking 5, 6, 7 years ahead, and even more. So my message is that we cannot just sit and relax and say, yeah, we're amazing, we have all this cyber ecosystem, everyone is coming, if we don't make sure that it keeps being so strong and even stronger ahead, we will start to lose some of the gains that we already have. And I think that will not be a good outcome for Israel. We have what it takes. We just need to make sure that we keep pushing in the right direction. We need to be able to have the right mechanisms that allow for innovation, that allow for entrepreneurs to try really new things and ideas and help them make them successful products. Thank you very much.